Hi everybody, I'm Darla Wigley with Wigley FX, and I'm going to do a live demo today with some of Wigley FX prosthetics and ProAiir. Today is all about talking about speed and efficiency when you're doing your makeup. Especially like for the haunt industry, they don't have a lot of time in the makeup chair when they're doing their makeups. And so I'm going to show you, a quick way to get through a pretty cool prosthetic makeup that'll look great on the floor. And to speed it up, we're going to use ProAiir airbrush makeup to do our demo. So what I've done is I've done a little bit of pre-application. And so these prosthetics are silicone. They're encapsulated and they come in packaging such as this. And on the back of it, it has all the instructions on how to apply it. And so, if you buy it and you're not sure what you're supposed to use or what you're supposed to do, everything right there will tell you what you need to do. You can get these on our website. And then we're also going to be using ProAiir. We're actually going to be using 2 of the different zombie series. I believe this is 1 and 3 of the zombie series. And it's going to show you how quick you can do some really cool stuff. So what I've done so far is I have a pre-application, and we're doing kind of an obvious thing. We're going to do, he's been bit by a zombie, so we're going to do like a zombie apocalypse. But anyway, while I'm working on this, I'll be telling you what I'm doing, and if you have any questions about my product, about ProAiir, or just makeup in general, just, shoot them at me, and I'll answer them. All right, so here we go. So when they come out of the package, they look like this. When they come off the card, they look like this, and they have this banding around them. The banding, basically what it does is protects the edge. And you're going to be taking this off when you do the application. Now the great thing about these silicone prosthetics is that they require no adhesive to put them on. So you don't need an extra product, you just need 99% alcohol. And they'll stay on forever. They'll stay on until you literally take them off, or if an edge pops, then it will start coming off on its own. But if it doesn't, it's going to stay on until you actually peel it off, and it literally peels off like a Band-Aid. But I'll also show you some other products if you don't want to do it that way, to remove it after you're done with it. These are one-use time pieces. You can't use them and then take them off. So I have my piece, my card, and I'm merely going to take a Q-tip. You don't even need brushes for this. I'm going to use Q-tips. And I'm going to soak my Q-tip in 99% alcohol, and I have it in like a little glass so it doesn't eat through anything because it's pretty strong. Okay, so I'm going to plan where I want my application. All right, so I'm going to take my piece. And I'm just going to use a Q-tip with 90, it's fine. And you don't have much chance to move it around if you put it on with a spray bottle. And then once you have it laid down, then we're going to take this part off.
It keeps cutting out.
And I'm always going to roll away from the prosthetic, not towards it, because since these are encapsulated with a alcohol-based cap plastic versus an acetone cap plastic, the alcohol will eat away at it, so you don't want to hit the parts where you're actually going to paint. You just want to hit the edge, and you just roll away from the edge as you go. And you can see it just melts away. You can see how it's all kind of crummy right there. So I'm just going to really just take that down like that. And you can also use a makeup sponge with alcohol on it. You just have to be careful. And you can just wipe that edge away. And then when it gets up here where we've overlapped, we've got a little bit more work to do. So I'm going to put some alcohol on there and just gently roll it away. And any crummy spots you have, you can just wipe it off. Oops. And so once you have your plan, they go on pretty fast. Okay, and then you can see where it's kind of shiny. I'll show you how to get rid of that shine here in just a few minutes, as soon as we get the rest of them applied. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a smaller piece. And the cool thing about this is, like, we have a pretty large line, and most of the pieces are trauma. And so I don't want all this extra cap plastic because I don't really need it, because I'm going to try to butt it up against something here. So I can actually go in there and trim it because I don't need that protective edge anymore. So I can actually go in there and trim it. And if you hold it up to the light, you can see where the silicone is and where the cap plastic is. And you can just trim cap plastic. So don't think that you can't trim them, because you can.
Where is the best place to buy prosthetics, or can you make your own?
Oh, sure, you can make your own. All of these are made right here in our own studio. They're also, this particular, our line is sold at Reynolds in Atlanta. And it's also sold at Norcosco in Atlanta.
And online at wigleyfx.com.
Yes, wigleyfx.com. Really good companies out there that have prosthetics. So you can, look around and find what you like, or use mine. And we also do custom pieces. So if you're working on a film, because most of the things that I do is film and TV. And most recently, we started introducing these pieces to the haunt industry. But if you have like a specific look that you want, whether it be character or trauma or anything like that, give me a call, send me an email, look me up on Facebook or Twitter, or no, excuse me, not Twitter, Instagram. And let me know what you're looking for, and we can create some custom pieces just for you. All right, and this one, we're going to start going down onto his chest a little bit. And he has a little bit of hair on his chest, but as long as it's not like a giant bushy, hunk of hair, you're fine.
How many times can you use a prosthetic?
Once. These are one-time use because they're an encapsulated silicone. If you want a piece that's multiple use, then you're going to want to look for like latex pieces.
The encapsulation is the adhesive.
Yes. So once you lay the 99% alcohol down, and then you lay the piece into it, it creates its own adhesive.
And as she was saying earlier, that these will stay on as long as the edge is intact, as long as you like them.
Yes.
We've had them on for testing them for up to 3 days.
Because I'm weird and I do stuff like that. And so here we go again. I'm going to do another one with just a Q-tip versus, and see his collarbone is really pronounced. We're not even going to worry about that. I'm going to show you how you can just go right over the top of his collarbone, and this will bend with it. No big deal. Let's take it this way. And you see, I'm going to lay right into the other prosthetics. And I'm going to lay it down. And once you get it down, that's it. So you better plan ahead how you want everything to go, because once it lays down, that's it. You can't pick it back up.
This is an alcohol-based encapsulant.
All right, so I'm going to get all that off. Working away from the prosthetic, not towards it. It comes right off. And we can also, especially if you're working on something, we can change the color of these pieces if, the skin tone, if you need be. On the website, they're all just one color, but we can, change the colors if we're doing something custom for you, for your project. We can change the skin tone to match your actor. So the application time and paint is a little less because it already matches their skin tone. And so what I'm doing is I'm just, getting rid of all that encapsulation that I don't need. Let's do... one back there.
I can't see back there.
I can't see
I can't see.
Okay. I'll do one back here. Just for good measure. We should have had some music or something. One of the good things about using ProAiir is, since this is an alcohol encapsulation, the ProAiir doesn't touch it. You don't have a brush touching it. You have an airbrush, and it doesn't melt the encapsulation at all, which is the good thing. Can you paint it with alcohol paints? Absolutely. You just have to be very careful not to completely wash it out. Less is more when it comes to pieces like this. And I'm just getting rid of the encapsulation that I don't need, but I'm not touching the main piece at all. Always work away from the center. And then you see I have some ridges right here. Okay, we don't want those. So we need to make sure that we take the time to get rid of them. I'm just going to roll that off. So see, that edge just kind of disappears. And it becomes one solid seamless piece. Look away for a second. Thank you. All right. So now that we've got the majority of this on, you can see where it's still shiny. We've got some places that the alcohol didn't penetrate, so we'll want to go back and check that. Make sure that none of our edges are popping up anywhere. They're nice and solid. Now, just because the edge melts away doesn't mean that there's not material there. So when we do our paint application, we're going to go beyond the piece itself onto the skin with the airbrush, simply because if you just do where you put the prosthetic, you're going to be able to tell no matter what. So you want to always go past the piece itself onto the skin to make it blend in better. All right, so we've got that. all in there. It's ready to go. So now we need to put some color on there, okay? So, I'm going to use a combination today. 90% of what I'm going to use is going to be ProAiir, but I'm going to do some skin tone adjustments with a Illustrator palette. But you can do everything with ProAiir completely. You don't have to use this at all. But I just want to do a little bit of adjustments. And if you notice, see, I'm just kind of modeling the color on there. I'm not painting it like, you know, like I was painting a house or something. I just want to get some additional color in there to help it pop.
And she's being quick because this is alcohol.
Yeah, it is alcohol. So. And when you're working on somebody like this and you've got like a large piece that you're working, you know, especially if you're working with multiple people at a time, you'll always want to wear gloves, and you'll always want to clean your hands in between people, and clean your brushes as well. Please clean your brushes between people, or have a set of brushes for each person of their own. No double dipping into anything. The only reason I can dip into my alcohol palette is because it's alcohol. Nothing else can be double dipped into. And if you're wondering what kind of, you know, hand sanitizer to use so it won't, you know, mess up your hands, because boy, they'll tell you what, this business is tough on your hands. Jow is really good because it smells good, number one, so it doesn't irritate your talent's face, you know, while you have it, because it has lavender in it, and it's a kitchen sink. It kills everything. So, all right, so we have our application here. Looks pretty gnarly, but now we want to start putting some color on it. So we want to get that infection going. So we're going to go over to ProAiir. Now, ProAiir has a lot of different, like this top line right here, I believe is Zombie 3. And I believe this bottom line is Zombie 1. They have some really beautiful colors, beautiful, beautiful colors. And they also have like skin adjusters, skin tones, not just zombie stuff, they have stuff for everything. So, all right, so we're going to use Pale Dead to pull back some of the color on this. And I'm also going to use, this increases the durability of the makeup. It's called Prolong, and you can just put a drop in with your makeup. And I have my airbrush set at about 15 pounds of pressure. You don't want to blow their skin off. And they have these nifty little tops that come with them, so it makes it easier to drop it into your airbrush. And I'm using a top feed airbrush versus a siphon feed. I've never been fond of siphon feeds, but if you're doing a lot of work, like if you're doing body painting, or you're doing face painting, or you're doing airbrush stencils, a lot of at the same time, then you know, having, you know, that bottom feed is really great. And ProAiir also has a lot of great equipment to go with their airbrushes, like things to keep your hoses straight, things to hold your airbrushes. They even sell airbrushes, and they sell entire kits, so definitely go and check them out because it's pretty amazing. The biggest thing to make things realistic is layers. Layer upon layer upon layer. Just like socking one color on there is not going to help you very much. So you want to be able to give them the depth that they need. Especially if they're close up on film, or if they're a line actor on a haunt. You want to be able to give them, you know, that U factor. So what I'm doing is I'm just going in here with the airbrush and I'm enhancing the boils. Just kind of giving them a little bit of a, so they pop out. Any other questions? Is everybody just watching? Come on, ask questions. I can talk and work at the same time. When I first started working in the film and TV industry, I worked in the haunt industry first. So this is where the Wigley FX prosthetics were actually kind of born, because I was doing makeup and it was really difficult to get all these people out the door into the haunt and do like these really elaborate makeups. It was really difficult. So I started, you know, playing around with stuff and came up with this process. And it was born, and we used it after we started, you know, really getting good at it. We, you know, used them ever since. And they're really good if you have to go really fast. Sorry, I have to grab my
towels.
Sorry, I forgot. We got a little yellow accent color in there, which I like. Oops. And now we're going to go in with a little bruising. And I found that when I use the Prolong with my colors, they seem to fit well. They come out of the brush beautifully and they lay so nice. All right, so of course we're going to have a little bit of bruising around where he got bit by the zombie. How many times have you been bit by a zombie, Donovan? A lot. He's been bit by zombies a lot.
But he gets better.
He gets better every time. I don't know. It's pretty amazing. We may actually even put some like veining in here too, because I think this is looking pretty awesome. All right, so we got a little bit of bruising in here where he got chewed on. Any other questions?
Not
Who's
yet.
watching? Who's watching? Come on, ask me anything. All right, I like that, the way that's looking. All right, let's go in there and get it a little bit more putrid, I think. I'm gonna use Road Rash. This is like one of my favorite colors. This color is so beautiful. It's so rich, and you can just do some crazy, amazing stuff with it. Always put the caps back on your stuff. Because if you open a bunch of it, and then you're working and running and working and running, and then all of a sudden your airbrush hose goes across your table and you lose about, 90% of your product because it spills out everywhere. So always take the time to put the caps back on. And that's why these little squeeze things that you can get with your makeup is really great, because it kind of saves your bacon sometimes. I'm going to put a little, don't move, we're going to put a little depth in here. Turn it. Okay. So we're starting to put a little bit of depth in here. And if you don't know how to airbrush, and you want to learn how to airbrush, there's a lot of really good teachers out there. Number one on my list right now is Jasmine Ringo. She has some amazing skills. By the way, if you want a really cute pink hose for your airbrush, just saying, you can get it from the Makeup Collective, the airbrush guy. Not guy, girl. Jasmine Ringo. And she has a lot of really good online classes. So since we're all stuck inside right now, why not learn stuff? Go to Jasmine's page and go to the Airbrush Collective and learn how to airbrush. Donna also does airbrush classes. For ProAiir University so far, she's taught everybody how to take their airbrush apart, how to clean their airbrush. She's talked about tanks and connections. And she also does she has all kinds of great equipment in her store. And if you can't go to the store right now because, well, you can shop online. What do you think about that? That's looking pretty gnarly. Oh, we forgot this one back here. And especially if you want to get into airbrushing, like if you want to do face painting, you want to do stencil airbrushing and that kind of stuff at festivals and stuff, Donna's your girl for that because she has all the setups and the stencils. She has so many stencils and she can teach you how to put all that stuff together and recommend what you should and shouldn't buy. And pretty much it's kind of a one-stop shop. Like you can get your stencils, your paint, and she also has not just airbrush paint, but she also has, these are called solids. And so it's the same quality, but it's in a palette form. And they work great for face painting and doing all kinds of other stuff. And then she also has a product called Dips. I don't have any out here, which they're really awesome. All right, I'm digging this. Let's take this all the way down your arm. You're gonna die.
Anybody have any questions? Anything you want more closer picture of or anything?
Or even just makeup questions. They're like, no, we're too busy watching.
You need beneath the arm.
I like that. Looking good. Let's add some darker colors in there.
Some green.
Get some green in there. Let me get. Well, we said we're saving that one for last. So let's get those. Let's see. Put that one in there. Let's get some. Let's use swamp moss. We're going to use swamp moss. Get some gnarly green color in there. And if you want to know what pieces I've used right here, so if you want to order them and try it out yourself, this piece in the center right here is called Zombie Bite. And then these larger bumps here are called large plate. And they come in a set of 2. You get a big piece like that. And then you get a,
Uh-oh.
well, that one's stuck. You get a smaller piece that goes with it, so it's 2 pieces. It's this piece and this piece.
The zombie bites over here.
Yeah, there's the zombie bite right there. And then these smaller, tinier pieces right here are called small plate. And they look like that. They have a lot of great texture in them, which we'll be pulling that out here pretty quick.
Don't forget the back.
It's looking pretty gnarly. Yep, let's get some dirt in there. Always be good to your airbrush, and it will do you proud. All right. This is called dirt. And these pieces are great, like if you're doing like, you know, like if you're doing trauma victims or whatever. I mean, these pieces are good for all kinds of stuff. Trauma and
Oh, lots of questions. Oh, there we go. The pictures were not, or the questions weren't coming up.
oh. What are some of the questions?
Let's see.
Need me to turn?
Keep missing the colors being used. Anyone keeping up with that?
Well, let's see. So far, we used Pale Dead in the beginning, and then we went back in with Warm Flesh. We used Bruised Tone. We used Road Rash. We used Swamp Moss. And now we're using dirt.
Don't forget the back.
With the dirt, I'm just going like in between everything. Anything that's got like a deeper crevice, I'm going in with the darker color. And then I'm going to come back with a color called Pus to make the pieces pop.
And along with all these colors, also use the Prolong. We find that it helps with the flow of the color.
Yeah, it really does. And you notice I'm going past where the prosthetic is, because now you can't see any edges. That's the whole idea, is not to be able to see any edges at all. You paint just a piece and nothing around it, then you're going to have a piece stuck on a piece of skin and no contrast or anything, and they're going to be, oh, look at that, there's the edge. All right, where is it? Where's it at? Pus. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with Pus. Gross. And we are going to use blood on this, but I have this pet peeve about blood. Just because it's a wound doesn't mean that you need to drown it in blood. If you're drowning it in blood because you can see the edges, then you need to work on your edges. Plain and simple. When you drown something in blood that you work hard on, it's just like doing yourself a disservice. So who out there already knows how to airbrush? They already know everything? They already know how to airbrush?
How's it hold up to water?
Pretty darn good. You're hard pressed to, I mean, anything's not going to hold up if you rub it. But, like, literally, if I grabbed a water thing, let me grab
We've had people go swimming in the hot tub and sauna and keep the makeup on at a convention over the weekend. So it holds up really well.
Yeah. So
Like down there.
this is water. This is just plain old water that I water my plants with.
Oh, that's cold.
So it just rolls off. So, see? So yeah, in the water, absolutely. I've done shoots where the talent was actually in the water. So you just want to make sure that this is sealed really well if you're doing water work. Although it's honestly, I've never seen alcohol or even the hybrids come off in water before, so they usually hold up to sweat.
If you don't have soap, they're going to be staying put.
Yeah, and we'll talk about removal too for both the makeup itself, the airbrush makeup itself, and the prosthetics.
Eric is asking what films you've worked on.
I have worked on Zombieland Double Tap, Conjuring 3,
Shaft.
Shaft, the new Shaft movie, not the old one. I'm not that old. The Last Thing Mary Saw, The Collected. Oh gosh. My resume's online on my website. I don't remember anymore, Eric. I honestly don't remember what all I've worked on. I did shop work for Dr. Sleep. I did shop work for Haunting of Hill House. I was never on set ever for those two. But Conjuring 3, Zombieland, Double Tap, Shaft. I've worked on Doom Patrol. I've worked on Underground Railroad, which isn't out yet. Gosh, what else have I worked on?
Have nots.
Genius Aretha, which is being filmed, well, not filmed right now, but it was being filmed before the apocalypse happened. What'd you say?
Huh?
What did you say?
And some of the TV, the have nots, and
Oh yeah,
the Pains.
Tyler Perry's The Pains, the Have and Have Nots. Chris Lee Knows Best. I did a Halloween episode for them. Wow, that was something. Okay, so enough about me. All right, so let's go back to the makeup. So this is looking pretty good, but I want to do some veining in here to make it look more.
Shanna's asking what you can use prosthetic wise if you want to use year round. What would be cost efficient?
Well, you know, cost efficient is what is cost efficient for you? $5 is cost efficient. Is $20 cost efficient? I don't know. You know, it depends.
If you want to reuse products, you want to go with like a foam latex.
Foam latex is hard to reuse, but it is possible.
Slip latex is very durable, very reusable.
Latex is probably one of the best for, you know, being cost effective and being durable, because you can glue them on, do your thing, and then remove them and clean them and set them aside to be reused again.
How do you deal with hair people?
Hair people?
Hairy people? Do you mean hairy people?
Hairy people? Like hairy? Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
I guess, yeah.
I'm sure that's what you're talking about is hairy people. Well, the cool thing about these prosthetics is, like, if you look right here, like, see how much hair he has right here? I can put a prosthetic into that piece, into that hair, and it won't be. Now, I can't lay anything on top. That won't work. But if you know, you have a prosthetic that maybe is overlapping into hair, like into it like that, this will go glue right down into it.
She's put prosthetics on this.
I have put prosthetics on this before, yeah. But ideally, if you have like an actor that has a beard, honestly, maybe ask them to shave it, or even like bring it down a notch, you know, to where it's just kind of stubble, because these will lay in stubble too. Not as secure as they will on, you know, just plain, you know, clean skin. But if you have, you know, hair, just a little bit of hair, these prosthetics will go into it and they'll melt right into it. So, and the cool thing is like if you have a tattoo, but my son doesn't have any, unfortunately, you can lay these prosthetics down, and like if the tattoo is on the edge where it melts onto the skin, the tattoo will show through, which is really great. So it looks like if they have an injury, like they got, you know, sliced on the arm and it's through the middle of a tattoo, this really looks like it's into the tattoo without, you know, compromising the tattoo, except for where the wound is itself, especially like pieces like this that have like a piece of flappy skin.
Shanna's asking where you find good latex prosthetics.
Good latex prosthetics. Oh gosh.
Rubberware's good.
Rubberware is fantastic. Those are foam though. Foam latex. I know there's an answer to that, but it's been a long time since I used latex. I might have to go looking for them. But, you know, you can ask, you know, most any shop, especially if you're, you know, wanting to have custom pieces done. There's some really amazing shops here in Atlanta. You just have to be willing to, you know, spend the money to have that custom pieces done. As far as latex pieces, maybe FX Warehouse, I think, has latex pieces that are reusable. And then, like I said, like we said, Rubberware has foam latex if you want to use that. There's also Mostly Dead has some. And I don't think that RBFX has any like slip latex, but they have foam latex and silicone. So you could, you know, maybe look into those. All right, we're gonna put some veining in here, just ever so slightly. And I won't lie, doing veins is hard with an hairbrush. You gotta practice. I'm still practicing. Any other questions?
Do you typically use one airbrush the entire time?
No. Usually I'll have at least 2 hooked up. This one does really good detail work. It's a good workhorse, but I also have an airbrush that's put out by ProAiir, and it's also a really good workhorse, and it has a big well.
Does great coverage.
It does great coverage. It does stencil work really beautifully. This is one of my favorite airbrushes. This is an Awada Neo. It's a good workhorse airbrush, and so I usually have at least 2 airbrushes hooked up. And having more than one airbrush hooked up, take a look at ProAir's site for some information on that, because that's, you know, what they're all about, is being able to accommodate you with airbrush equipment and a whole setup to like make it really simple.
Yes, we have some friends with Eclipse airbrushes that do use this.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and you know, really, you know, I can't necessarily say this is a perfect airbrush for you. Airbrushes are like makeup brushes, or like pencils, or watercolors, whatever. It's what you prefer. It's what you have to try out and learn how to use, and then you make a decision on what is the best equipment for you to use. Just because you buy this airbrush, just like mine, doesn't mean that you can do the same things that I do with it. So, you know, you have to kind of learn how to use your equipment and then decide for yourself what works for you. Because some people will use specific products or specific tools that I can't even fathom using because they just don't work for me. So it's not always the tool. Sometimes it's the artist behind the tool. It's looking pretty good.
when starting out in the movie industry, what do you feel like is best skills to have?
All of them.
Patience.
Patience, yeah. The best skills to have in the makeup industry, like for makeup or for hair, because when you're working in the film industry, it's good ability to do both when you start out. But later on, when you are going to decide to join the union, then you're going to have to choose between the crafts. You can't do hair and makeup. But starting out, your best way to work your way up the ladder is by doing indies and commercials and different things like that. And a lot of times when you do an indie, they'll hire one makeup artist that does hair and the effects and everything. So starting out, it's good to know a big, giant, skills. But the skills that you want to achieve later on when you go into the union, if it's makeup, decide, do you want to do hair or makeup? You can't do both. Meanwhile, while you're working your way up the ladder, you hone those skills for that particular, discipline. My effects skills, although I can do beauty, just like anybody else, my effects skills are what I spend the most time on because that's what I prefer to do. So when somebody calls me, they call me because I do a good ball cap, or I do, a good prosthetic application, or, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm liking how that looks. Got a lot of color in it. And one of the best ways to really kind of know what your piece looks like on film is as you're working on it, take pictures of it. And step back and look at the picture, because what your eye sees and what the camera sees is two different things. So don't look at it and go, oh yeah, that's good. And then it gets on camera and you're going, oh wow, you can't even see the color. I could see it with my eye, but I didn't see it with film. So take pictures.
Camera, it's not film anymore.
Sorry, whatever. So take pictures of what you're doing. So if you think you're done, take a picture of it with your phone and look at it and see if you can see the colors that you put in there. All right, so I think now we're going to do a little bit of blood work. Because that zombie bite, there's no way that... And I'm using Fleet Street blood. Now, if you're done with it and you look at it and you go, well, I can still see it's shiny right here, okay? Instead of like socking it with blood to hide it, I'm going to use this product right here. And it's just basically a mattifier is all it is. And I'm going to go in there and knock any shine down. And if you notice, I'm putting it right over that ProAiir. No big deal. That ProAiir stays no matter what. So, and I get rid of any of the shine that might be on my prosthetic anymore. So I'm using two different colors of blood from Fleet Street. This is the fresh blood. And so that's going to go in there where the zombie bit. And if I get too much, then, you know, I'll get a paper towel or something and get it out of there. I'm going to tap it out a little bit because I got a little bit too much blood in there. Because I'm not huge on, like, killing my pieces with blood because I want my work to shine through. Okay.
Chris is asking, what is the matte product called?
Y'all don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me because it works. I'll show you what it is.
You got that?
All right, now I'm going in with the dark blood on top of the blood that I just put in there, because blood's not all the same color either. There's some is dark, some is light. There's venous blood, there's... Now, I'm gonna get me... I really like these orange sponges a lot. I'm go on with a little bit more of the dark blood. And I'm just going to use, you know, what blood I've got already in there.
And spread it a little.
And just spread it out a little bit. Make this look kind of sore. Because there's some really good detail in here, so. And there's some really nice detail in there. And you can go in here and do a few drips, make it look dramatic. And I'm gonna let the drips do their own thing. That's a big pet peeve is if you're gonna do blood dripping, make sure that you don't place it like where it defies gravity.
Let it be natural.
Let it be natural. There.
Does the blood dry or does it stay shiny?
It will dry, and it stays kind of shiny. You will have to refresh it every now and then, but it's pretty durable. It does a really nice job. And so if I wanted to make this look even more sore, then I could go in with like KY jelly or something like that and put it on these, bumps to make them look, kind of juicy looking. Or you could even use like glycerin or something like that, which I don't have any on my table, so. All right, so we're gonna go in here with.
Yeah, Dion says he's lucky to have such a talented mom. The neighbor parents didn't think so when he was growing up because their kids would come over and play and we'd send them home looking like this.
Yeah, actually I have a funny story about that. Our neighbor, he came over one day and I asked him, I was practicing bruising and, trauma and stuff like that. And I asked him, I said, can I do this makeup on you? Because he wouldn't let me do it. So he's like, yeah, sure. So I did this whole trauma makeup on him and it made it look like he had like this huge black eye and he was beat up all really bad. And then, not even thinking about it, I sent him home. So it was him that did it. I didn't do it, I'm telling.
Quite the actor.
To do it. Yeah, he went home and instead of just going in for dinner, he literally like crawled up the front steps and was smacking on the door. And his mom opened the door and he's laying on the steps going, and I don't know what happened, but she came over and she cursed me out. And she goes, he's never coming over here again. And I was like, I'm sorry. All right, so I'm okay with this, but I want a little bit more infection. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with Old Blood, maybe. I like Old Blood. It's pretty. And hit my prolong. I'm going to use one of my stencils. And give him kind of just like a little bit of a blotchy look. No.
Do you make your own stencils?
No. I guess I could, but I have too many other things to do, so I'll just buy them from Donna.
Yeah, Donna's got a great selection.
Yeah, she's got some really awesome stencils. These are not Donna's stencils that I'm actually using. These are actually from European Body Art. But Donna has some awesome stencils. Especially if you like to do fantasy stuff. Oh my God, if you want to do fantasy stuff, she has some of the coolest stencils for that. So how many out there have used ProAiir before? Has anybody used ProAiir?
Do you have the stipple tip on to all effects?
Do I what?
Do you have the stipple tip to all effects?
Oh yes, I do have the stipple tips, but they're all the way across the room, so I forgot to grab them. But yeah, the stipple tips are really great. If you want to do like some really cool like splatter without like actually using like this to splatter with, you can actually use it on the end of your airbrush to do the splatter for you. And there's like 3 different sizes, I believe. But they're all the way across the room and I totally forgot about them. But Donna sells those too, so I'll have to go get those. Does he look sufficiently infected? It's looking pretty good there. I'm digging it. What do you guys think? Add a little conditioner to his hair, put some tattered clothes on him.
Needs a little juice. Needs a little juice. Juicy.
Oh, we can make it juicy.
How much with the prosthetics in just this video?
How much? Like dollar-wise? Is that what you're talking about?
Are you saying how much are the prosthetics that we used in here? This looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's, well, remember these are a set.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 pieces there.
The average $16.95 is the average.
Yeah.
So 6 times 16. But after this video, if you order online at store.wigleyfx.com, use the code ProAiir and get a 15% discount.
I don't know where my stipple tips are.
You're saying you need a good dermatologist.
Dermatologist. Well, I don't know where my stipple tips are. They're here somewhere, but I'm not sure where. So there you go. Zombie bite with a severe infection. So I don't think that you're going to make it. So anyway, so thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, I'll be online here in about 10 minutes. You know, just go to my Facebook page or go to Instagram. I'm on there, Wigley FX. And both on Facebook and Instagram are both Wigley FX. So you can find me there. I have a website, www.wigleyfx.com, and you can ask me questions through the website. And thank you for watching. I'm always around if you have any questions about anything, makeup, or if you just want to say, hey, I'm always here. And don't forget that ProAiir was what was used here today, and you saw how easy it was and how beautiful the colors are. Go to the website. Where's the website at? I don't have the website, I'm sorry. www.ProAiir.com. And
That's air with 2 eyes.
Yeah, air with 2 eyes. And go and check out and see what Donna has. She has an amazing shop down in Pigeon Forge. You can't go to it right now because we're social distancing, but you can still shop online. She has airbrushes, she has equipment, she has all these gorgeous colors. She has the solids, she has the dips, she has
She has it.
she has everything. She has everything. She has stencils. She has ProAiir University, where she covers different aspects of, you know, the business. So check her out. Check us out. And hopefully I'll get to do a live here pretty soon. And maybe I'll see you on set. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.